I kind of want to talk about the season we just had before talking about the off-season plan. So really, we're going to talk about the Knicks season review. And in this review, I want to talk about more or less your grade for the Knicks and their season and what you thought about what they did. Now, for me, when I sent you the questions, I called the season magical. Now, I want to explain why I said that, because you did give me you said it's going to be fun when I did mention that comment. I said it was going to be magical because of the fact that Jalen Brunson turned into a superstar right before our eyes. And also with the litany of injuries we were dealing with, there's no way, we had no business taking the second seed and going all the way we did in the playoffs. So that's why I called it magical. But you know what? The people are not here for me. Shout out to the chat gang. I see you guys live and active. They're happy for you, Berman. They're welcoming you back, I guess. They want to know your thoughts. So the floor is yours. What did you think about the Knicks season and what grade would you give them?
Yeah, I was amused by the term magical. You know, the Celtics are amidst a magical season and they're going to win their 18th NBA championship. The Knicks only have two, and they haven't had one in 51, now going on 52 years. So magical wasn't the word that I would use for 2023-24, but now I understand what you're saying. It was magic that they were able to go that far considering the injuries. But in the big picture, listen, I give it a B+. I know there's some fans who would go A-, A, but I mean, it's about breaking the championship curse. I feel that the Knicks fans' standards has gone a little bit down since the late 90s when it was about winning the title. And I almost felt that, listen, everyone loved this team. They love these guys. They love the chemistry. They love the defense and the grit. But they got blown out in game 7 of the second round. That's not magical to me. Blown out from the first quarter on. And it was injuries, ultimately. They could not stand the loss of Josh Hart. But that's part of it. Part of the being a great team in the NBA is staying healthy. Ability and durability. Those are the two things that even GMs don't factor in when they hand out ridiculous contracts. And the media, when they analyze who the Knicks should go after. And I'm all about durability. Yeah. I don't care that the Knicks had a great record with OG. He wasn't there for the Indiana Pacers. RJ Barrett actually would have been there. He's been very healthy and very durable. But I'm just saying that a magical season to me is at least getting to game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics.
Right. And I think, for me is, I understand getting all the way there is magical. And I guess that's a good way to put it, because if they got there with all the injuries that they had, it definitely would have, I think would have been miraculous if they were able to do that. But here's the thing for me, the fact that they were able to do that with all the injuries they had, and even though they were dealing with injuries going into the Pacers series, OG got injured within that series. And before he did, I think he was having his best game as a Knick. He was breaking out for me. So I thought that in, totality with everything else was just amazing. But I have one last question for Marc. It relates to a tweet that you had mentioned when the season was over regarding taking a long look at Leon Rose. I ask you about Leon Rose nearly in each and every single interview I do with you, because you always keep it 100% with me. You always do with Leon. And I think right now is another perfect time to do it, because I've actually switched. I used to be a little bit more anti-Leon because he wasn't doing anything. But this season, I felt like he did the right moves for the Knicks. He set us up in a good position. Now he has to take advantage of that. For me saying that Leon has had a good season and he's done right by the Knicks, what do you say in response to that? Would you agree, or do you think he has still more left to do?
I mean, it's really all about OG. They gave up so much for OG. And if in the future OG becomes a 75-game a season, healthy in the playoffs performer, the Knicks are going to be very special next year again. But I have my doubts. I think Dante worked out very well. And one clarification, I know there was a tweet that, people went nuts about when they signed Dante and traded Obi for a couple of basketballs. At the time, they didn't need a shooting guard. Yeah. They didn't have, they had IQ and they had RJ and they had Quentin Grimes. So it was just another shooting guard when they didn't have a power forward. So as the season wore on and they traded all their shooting guards, yeah, Dante became like incredibly important and was a huge key. I mean, he started off slow in the playoffs against Philly. He came on late in that series and then had a wonderful playoff, a terrific playoff against the Pacers, and that hopefully will carry through. He was money from the 3-point line. He drives the basketball. He plays defense. He was sensational against Indiana, and I think the loss kind of overshadowed how amazing Dante was in that second round. But the question on whether Leon is considered a great GM is what will OJ bring to the table next season? Mm-hmm. And, you know, his legacy, unfortunately, listen, the Jalen Brunson signing was miraculous.
Yes.
And I wrote it right before I retired. I had a story. It was the lead. It was after they had signed Jalen. And I had an anecdote that said at the very first meeting Leon Rose had with his scouts, he mentioned a couple of players on his wish list of players he'd love to bring into the organization. And he mentioned Jalen Brunson. And that was when Jalen Brunson was an average second-round pick who was coming off the bench for Dallas. And some of the scouts who are no longer there, their eyebrows were like, Jalen Brunson? That's like one of the top guys on your wish list? They were stunned. And it's turned out so amazing. And I feel he's a first-team All-NBA player. I mean, listen, I do think teams are going to adjust to him next year and treat him like a superstar and defend him like a superstar because Indiana started to do that. But what he did in the playoffs was, to use your word, magical.
And that's a great way to end this, though. Started with magical, ended with magical. Marc, it is amazing to have you on. I thank you for so much of the time that you gave me, all the questions that you answered. Next time we have you on, we might do less of an interview and have more fan interaction because people love you. There are so many questions that I could probably have another hour with you if I wanted with all the questions that we have here. Next time we'll do that, I promise you. But until then, we got to say goodbye to Marc. Marc, again, it was such a pleasure having you. So thankful for you always, even though you're not part of the beat. I'm so happy to see some of your tweets sometimes about the Knicks here and there, talking about them and being able to give us some of your insight. Really appreciate you, and thank you so much for joining the show today.
I appreciate it, Trey, the kind words. I know a lot of Knicks fans have been very annoyed at some of the things I've put out there, but I mean, I try to be as truthful as possible, and right. Sometimes the truth will hurt a little bit.
If you enjoyed these clips from the live show, be sure to subscribe to the channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss any new episodes or when we go live. Thanks for watching, Knicks fans, and until next time, peace.